art is a kind of conversation of all the arts that have been produced so far, and that's also what makes it so interesting. Entering history allows you to look at the present in a much more subtle and intelligent way, and also maybe to elaborate different futures.
Our path into the future is unknown. But what is known is that technology's role will only be greater. Digital and interactive art, once ridiculed and marginalized, is now fast dominating the global art world. One of ZKM's biggest shows to date, Writing the History of the Future, offers the opportunity for audiences to view the main works from its unique collection. Also on display is a retrospective of pioneering media artist Peter Zweibel. Peter Zweibel and curator Margit Rosen address the inherent instability of media art, at the mercy of constant software and hardware evolution.
That we know that the hardware and the software is changing every 10 years. So we have to think from the beginning, how can we save and transpose the work on a material level? A painting you can conserve without any problem for hundreds of years. But media art, you can only conserve maybe 20 or 30 years.
The instability of media is that our electronic and digital culture is very fragile, so that hardware dies, that videotapes decompose, but it's also a different way of thinking the work in the classical sense. So there would never be a continuity on the level of materiality. Nobody had thought about how complicated it would be to keep these artworks alive. The conversation of media art is a real challenge because there are two different moves. Art wants eternity, but technical development wants change. That is to say, if pieces of our artworks, if parts die, normally they won't be available on the market anymore because technological development has advanced. So we have to find different and very experimental solutions to overcome that problem.
So we have our own studios for restoration and even for transposing, to take a work of art from the analog area to the digital area. The virtual elements change all the time. So we have software engineers to take care of the artwork. The future is very difficult. To conserve our digital future, we are the only museum in the world who is aware of this kind of task, which I call, who will be the Arche Noah, who will be the ship to save our audiovisual artistic heritage.
Art provocateur Bjarne Melgaard has created his first VR work, My Trip, which was developed with Acute Art and is currently on display at Julia Stoschek collection. Bjarne shares his experiences collaborating with Acute Art and developing a VR work.
My Trip is basically a 50-minute retrospective of my work. And it basically dwells around the idea of new psychedelia, antinatalism, overpopulation, and also, you know, like in 1942, when Camus was stating that the only real existential question we have is suicide. And I think by now, maybe we have come to a time where the only existential question we have is, shall we procreate anymore? Shall we really go on?
Acute Art director Daniel Birnbaum and artist Bjarne Melgaard discuss extended reality as the next frontier. As a philosophical experiment between the virtual and the real, how does this type of immersive experience test our boundaries?
This is the first time you work with this new, very powerful medium, virtual reality. And an obvious question is, of course, not only why you did it, but rather what it offers that you couldn't have done in more traditional mediums.
I think that, you know, how the VR functions for me was that I had the possibility to materialize a narrative in a kind of almost transcendental way. So I could take all these older references and I could present them in a totally contemporary context. I couldn't have done that in any other medium.
He created this piece, which is a rather scary, hallucinatory, but also humorous journey into the darknet, where all kinds of weird things happen. It recreates sensations that Bjarne knows from testing all kinds of chemical substances. And at the same time, it's not only a kind of abstract fantasy, it actually involves all his previous work.
Do you think virtual reality will lead to some sort of new spirituality?
I think it can lead to kind of new kitschy spirituality.
So it's more the question, what are the methods of making this spiritual world visible? And I think that in the future, augmented reality and mixed reality, where you mix the real world, the physical world that we're used to, with digital elements, it will become part of our everyday life and our so-called life world.
In the early 1970s, June Paik, the father of video art, coined the phrase electronic superhighway. We meet Tate curators Sook, Kyung-Lee and Michael Raymond as they discuss how Paik revolutionized art through his open spirit and collaborative approach, making technology familiar and establishing television as a medium for peace, connectivity, and creativity.
Paik was one of those artists who really understood how the future of art, but also our society and everyday life will change, and really embraced art and technology as one harmonious entity.
What is the present state and future of Paik's electronic superhighway? Assistant curator Michael Raymond and artist Harun Mirza debate how technology can push us towards ever more provocative encounters.
I think recently we've seen lots of really positive benefits of art and technology coming together and affecting society. So, just to look into the past, previously, if you wanted to come and see an artwork at Tate, you would have to travel here to London, to Bankside, to see the work. Whereas now, the vast majority of our works are on the website. People can see them anywhere in the world.
Can you experience the artwork though? I mean, if you think about the aura or art in the age of mechanical reproduction, what's art in the age of digital reproduction when things are digitally and instantaneously somewhere else?
I think Paik was speaking at a time where technology held that promise of future democratic participation. I don't think he could have foreseen how telecommunication technologies would also become an instrument for mass surveillance.
Fluxus artists were really questioning those systems itself, and they were really against commercialization and objectification of art.
I think he was just looking for a way to reshape his then media landscape, and that's still something that we can do. It's important to have a retrospective like this at a moment like this because it allows for kind of trans-temporal conversation between past and present. It's too easy to dismiss these ideals. I think we also need to recuperate some of what was good in Paik's vision. I think above all, his ability to look at technology for what it was, to kind of untether it from its channels of circulation, to kind of humanize technology with humor. These things help to counter, current malaise and feelings of technological determinism.
He knew it was going to be massive, and he really saw the potential in it. But at the same time, it's difficult to predict all the different ways and areas that broadband has gone on to affect our lives and the electronic superhighway, so yeah.
I feel like somehow we reached the point of compartmentalizing things. The Enlightenment happened, it took its toll, I would say, and has created all these categories and subcategories of things. Technology is one and art is one, but I think now they're merging together and it's going to be indistinguishable at some point, whether it's art and technology or either or both.
Completely.
It's like they are the same thing, but that may occur with art and science or, music and architecture and all these sort of disciplines that we call them are starting to break down and merge together.
Can art really be for all? Debating topics such as sustainability, networks, and collaboration, this collection of artists, curators, and creative technologists encourage us to question our own role in the technological revolution. How will things look different when we participate and help shape the visions we want to see? Digital technologies can be a powerful tool for enhancing the quality of our lives, helping us to see more, feel more, and connect more with others around the world. These collections show how handing over control to artists might just be the best thing we could do, helping us to connect more, not only with each other, but also ourselves.
The future of art and technology, and now we come to the point that media extending our brain. Yeah? And so from this comes the idea of artificial intelligence. And we have now machines that produce a lot of data, enormous amount of data. And our natural organs, our natural brain is not capable to organize or structure this data. So we need algorithms, we need artificial intelligence to help us, because our world is not only more dominated and regulated and controlled by machines and by language, it is now dominated by data. It's this new digital technology built on data. Artists can open doors which scientists don't see. The scientists can give us the tools which artists cannot produce. And together, they open up a new horizon of the human. Media which imitates the behavior of organic life systems is absolutely the future of the 21st century.